What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day, your busy life to listen to what I have to say about anything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't already, would you please do so? Would you share these videos with anyone you think is going to benefit from them? Before I get started, I do want to talk about two things that you're going to find in the description of the video. You're going to find my TikTok and Instagram handle first and foremost at Live to Learn Coaching. There you can reach me if you have a question, if you want to offer some constructive criticism, if you want to give me a pat on the back. All those things are welcomed. Let me know. Also, you can follow me there for more content. At Live to Learn Coaching, that's my TikTok and Instagram handle. Also in the description of the video, 3 opportunities to donate to support this channel financially. It's not something that you have to do, but it does help me continue to maintain a consistency that I've been able to do. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without those of you who have already taken your support to that level. Thank you so much for those of you who have done so already. But like I said, it's not necessary. If you can hit the thumbs up, if you can share the video, if you can comment, if you can subscribe, those things are very helpful as well. So let's get started. Last week I shared a couple of things just to give you a quick recap. Last week was my birthday, and so I shared just some, 3 valuable lessons I'd learned over these long 44 years, right? I mean, hey, I don't know what the demographic is that's watching the videos, but for some of you might think like, oh man, you're still pretty young. Some of you might be like, man, you are old, bro. Like, what does 44 look like? Hey, I've been there. I remember being the youngster. I remember being the young kid, and everyone past 25 was old. And I see that that's just not the case. But I shared some things, right? Valuable things that I think have really, really impacted me. They've really shaped my life. They've shaped the person that I am today, and they will continue to shape the person that I am becoming, because I'm not done. So I would encourage you to check out last week's video. I was really proud to share these things. And today I'm proud to share something as well. And this is actually going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. I typically do not do any gender specific content. Although as a life coach, I am absolutely more and most suitable to work with men, to work with heterosexual males. Why is that? Because I am one. So I can relate closest to those types of individuals. And so I want to talk about something that's a stigma, right? I want to talk about something that I think is very important, something that I think is a message that still needs to be shared. And I'm going to, of course, share it from my background. I'm going to, of course, share it from my mind, my heart, my individual perspective. But before I get started, I want to remind you that although this is going to be a gender-specific subject, I'm talking to the men out there, because this has to do with culturally, overall culturally, it has to do more with men. I want to remind you that if you're watching this and you do not identify as a heterosexual male, if you don't identify as a male, this does not mean that you need to leave the room. I encourage you to stay and to take anything that I say and use it for yourself, to help you, to help your mental health, to add value to your life. You are welcome to do so. As I've said before, Living to Learn, this YouTube channel, at Live to Learn Coaching as well, is for everyone. I want to make that clear. I have no bias against any gender identification. I have no bias toward any sexual orientation. I have no bias toward any belief or non-belief system. I'm just here to help people. So if you can take something from this that's going to be helpful, please do so. Please do so. So I want to make that clear before I get started. So what am I going to be talking about? I'm going to be talking about the benefits, the mental health benefits of what happens when men share their emotions, when men open up, as we talk about. Now, I think what really kind of got the ball rolling on this subject, especially for this week, was a post that I had read on Instagram Now, I follow a really a great account. It's at Mike Manzo Official. Mike Manzo, Mike, last name Manzo. Look him up on Instagram. Follow him. He's always sharing some really solid advice for men. Because again, like myself, he identifies as a man, and that is his expertise. And he shared something this week, right? And Mike and I, we share this in common. We're not only men, but we are both Hispanic men, or Mexican American. We're Americans of Mexican descent or Latino descent, right? Now that's a whole can of worms itself as far as like labels and titles. I'm not worried about that. What I'm getting at is that culturally, men just across the board are not necessarily, I think things have gotten better, but I think there's still a stigma about men opening up and showing emotion. And Mike shared a post this week, and it was like, 5 or 6 slides, and each slide talked about something different. And on one of the slides, he wrote in Spanish, "Los hombres no lloran." No lloran. I hope I'm saying it right. My Spanish sucks, and it's almost completely non-existent. Los hombres no lloran, right? No lloren, no lloran. I don't know. I'm probably not saying it right. But what it means is men don't cry. Men don't cry. Boys don't cry. This is something that we hear. We've heard. Generations of men have heard these words. And they've not just heard the words. They've heard these words from people who have influence in their lives. I have sons. I have boys. And never has it occurred to me until I became a father how important it is for me to allow my children to express their emotions. And when Mike posted that comment, when Mike posted that, I think I replied back. I said, you know what? That statement alone, los hombres no lloran, that statement alone, men don't cry, boys don't cry, has ruined generations of men. I also mentioned that for my family, from my side, we've unlearned that. But I know that it still negatively impacts many men to this day. Men don't cry. Boys don't cry. I was thinking about it earlier. Like, where did that even come from? Where did it even come from? And why is it so prevalent? Why is it so accepted? And I just started thinking, like a lot of things, right? Like, being an agrarian society at one point, right? We live in a modern world now. We have so many things, so many luxuries and leisures that, 200 years ago, people could not even imagine. Those were the days where if you literally had to work to eat, for most people, right? Those cows were not going to milk themselves. That corn was not going to plant itself. Like, these are things that most of us are just, we don't relate to anymore. But I'm starting to think like, maybe that came from just like, hey, like there's 24 hours in the day. There's only so many hours of sunlight to actually do work. Like, there's no time for this. There's no time for opening up emotionally. There's no time for, letting the tears flow and being sad and being honest with yourself that you don't feel good. Where it came from? And I don't know where it came from. I just know this. I know that if we continue to promote that stigma, if we continue to hold on to that belief that men should not cry, that boys should not cry, that as a male, you are not supposed to open up emotionally. If we continue that, then we will continue to allow the destruction that comes with that type of thinking. You see, you and I have no responsibility for how it started, but we have absolutely a responsibility to put a stop to it if we have not already. Someone in my family did the hard work before I even existed. So I was fortunate not to have that forced on me. But there's a lot of men out there. There are a lot of boys out there who have not been told, who have not been given permission to express their emotions. They've not been allowed to identify those emotions. What even is going on here? What even is happening within me? Boys don't cry. Men don't cry. Just be quiet. And so I'm gonna get into this a lot more over the next couple of weeks. I'm gonna get into why it's destructive, but also why it's helpful and why it's very important, especially in our day and age, especially in this digital age where information, where messaging is coming at us from all different directions at all times. This is a 24/7 world we live in. How the heck are we supposed to make it with our minds intact? We're going to talk about that a little bit more over the next couple of weeks. This is just my introduction into what the topic's going to be about. Please reach out to me on social media. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to just share something with me. You know, if this touches home, if it strikes a nerve, if you disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you. Because I think this is a very important topic, especially for everyone, but especially for men, especially for boys. Those of us who identify as such. Again, take whatever you can from it and use it for yourself. If you're not a man, you don't identify as one, that's not a problem. I'm here for you. I want to help you. But this is a gender specific topic because it's something that I'm aware of. It's something I'm familiar with, something I know. It's something I know other people have dealt with. And I want to do my part in making sure that we do away with this type of thinking. I think that's a very important mission. I think that's a very important goal to have. And Living to Learn stands on that. Live to Learn Coaching stands on that. So thank you for watching. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.